it's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and this is a special edition of both my vlog and of the Idiot Quilter. And in this edition, I'm going to show you the transformation that my craft room went under to become my new sewing room. As you know, we bought a long arm and we needed the space to put that in. So that meant we had to collapse the workshop and the exercise room and the sewing room, and those terms I'm using very loosely about that area, in order to have a space to put the long arm in, because those are big suckers. So I pretty much gutted my craft supplies. I put them all out on display and invited my friends that I art journal with, my art journaling group, and they came over and basically pilfered my supplies, and that was okay by me, but it gave me lots of space. Now this took about a week and a half to do, which is kind of amazing considering the amount of stuff I had to reorganize, to get rid of, relocate. And so this is my process in this video. So I'm taking it from the beginning to the end of the transformation, and I hope you enjoy this. Okay, so Walter and I just bought a long arm quilting machine. We had to find a place to put it. Well, guess what? One thing leads to another. This is my existing craft room, and I'm just showing you what this looks like right now. Now, in my plan, this is not where the long arm is going to go. The long arm is going to go into the combination workshop, exercise, quilting room, sewing dungeon as I call it, because that's the only place it's going to fit. That means we have to do a lot of reorganizing of stuff out there. Now, we've needed a clean out for a long time. I look like a hoarder in here, but this is all stuff from my crafting days. So I'm going to weed through all of this stuff. I'm going to give away a lot of it. I'm going to throw out the stuff that's just garbage, because I'm not doing this anymore. It's a shame in a way, because see all these blue boxes down here? These all have Stampers Anonymous stamps, which are quite expensive and very nice stamps. I have all kinds of die cutting things in those brown boxes down there, dies for, the Sizzix. I have tons and tons of paper. That's a paper rack. This is a paper pad rack. And at the other end of this table is another paper rack, as you can see. I have drawers, many drawers filled with stuff. There's so much stuff in here, I don't know what I have anymore. All I know is I'm not using it anymore. One of my 3D printers is over here. I have ink pads over here. I have things on bulletin boards. I have things up here, books and more painting supplies. And I have this central table right here that I've had for quite a while, which is my craft bench. Okay, what's the plan? This is leaving. This whole center section is going, and I'm putting in IKEA tabletops and IKEA drawers. And this is going to be the central spot of my new sewing room. At one end down here, there will be my sewing machine. At this end will be my embroidery machine. In the middle will be my cutting mat. So this will be my cutting station. In this area, when it's all cleaned up, I'm going to keep this table because it's a decent table, and I'm going to make this into my pressing area. This area, this is actually a drafting table. I bought it many years ago when I first got into scrapbooking. I've never really used it as a drafting table, but it will come up, it'll go on an incline, and so I'm thinking of reestablishing it as such. Either that or my serger might go on that. Of course, all this junk underneath and everything will be cleared out. This corner will be all cleared out as well. On this counter along here, this is my computer area. I will keep this, but I will clean it up so that I don't have all this junk sitting around it. Same with everything that's on this counter. This is a wide format printer. I have not used it in many years. I don't know if I'm going to get rid of it or not, because that was an expensive toy when I first bought it. I think it cost me around $600 for it. This is my main printer. Of course, I'm keeping that. But I'm going to move this out of this room, and I'm going to move a whole bunch of stuff way over here. My paper cutter, this other printer, and my laminator. And these are all going to go into what was the sewing dungeon, but that will be greatly reduced in there. It'll just be one table against a wall. And that's where this stuff, I think, right now is going to go. And this is where my 3D printers will go. These ribbon racks will come down so I can accommodate those. Those cupboards will be cleaned out. This TV stand is going to go. I have miscellaneous computers in here that I don't even use, so they're going to go somewhere. I don't know where. All this artwork that you see on the cupboards, on top of the cupboards, a lot of this is stuff that I did in mixed media. I'm not really attached to it, you know. It was all experimental stuff. It was fun at the time, but I think a lot of that is just going to hit the landfill site. There may be a few pieces I'll probably keep, but for the most part, that's all going. There's going to be a lot of garbage bags, I can tell you that, in here too. So yeah, this room is going to go under a drastic transformation. The time has come. I have talked about this for quite a while. I am making the switch completely over to sewing and quilting. I'm not interested in paper crafts anymore. I may keep a minimum number of supplies, but I'm really going to have to force myself to purge. Really purge. So throughout this process, I will keep you abreast of what I'm doing and show you the gradual changes in here. My first priority is this center section right here because I don't want to have my sewing machines down for any length of time. And I have a plan all drawn out, which areas I'm working on. So I'm basically working on an area at a time. It's going to be horrendous. It really is. But I just have to keep in mind what the end product is going to be, what I'm focused on. And I'm not sure what my timeline's going to be like. I want to do it as quickly as I possibly can, but a lot of it's going to depend on when we get the long arm, how long that takes, because first priority is to have a spot to set it up in, and that means cleaning out the workshop. We have a big table saw in there that's got to be moved out into the garage. Walter's been cleaning out the garage so we can do that. There is a treadmill that I want to give away, and it's going to be a bitch to get out of that room. There's some other miscellaneous things in there that Walter wants to relocate as well, so that we have that area to hold the long arm. And we need about 12 to 14 feet. And we can get it. We've been doing a lot of measuring, and we know we can get it in there. It's just this is all going to be a lot of work. But you want to know something? It's needed. We need to declutter. We have too much stuff that we don't need. I'm just hoping that a lot of my crafting supplies, like I've got boxes of Project Life when I first got into that I've never opened. I want them to go to good homes. I'm not going to try and sell these things because, you know, I've gotten my love out of them. Let somebody else enjoy them too. There is a community art place that I know will take some donations, so I'll need to contact them and see what they would like. A lot of the paper pads that I have in that, I'm going to take over to the local elementary school. It's only a few blocks away from me because I did that once years ago when I did a major purge down here, and they seem to appreciate it. So I'm going to see if they want things. So I'm going to try and donate a lot of this stuff, find it good homes, and some of it will hit the garbage though, because it is just garbage, but it's a lot of sorting to go through. Okay, so wish me luck. Okay, so the first day of Steven's store was open, and I had a couple of my friends came over and spent the afternoon here taking what they wanted. Now you can see right now my center island that I had is now gone. And luckily one of those ladies that came over wanted the center island and one of the paper racks as well. This paper rack's going tomorrow because I have 3 more of my lady friends coming over to pick up stuff and take stuff away, and that rack has already been spoken for. So I was really happy about that. So this opens up this space where now I can start the building in a few days of the cabinets and the tabletop for my main sewing area. Now you can see on the shelves that we have less stuff on here. I've been prepping in the morning before they come over. I'm getting things out, and I'll show you my little store in a moment. But throwing out a lot of stuff, and I am being ruthless. I am just hacking away at this stuff. If it doesn't give me joy, it's gone, as Maria Conde, or whatever her name is, says. Now, yes, there is still a lot of stuff to clean out up here, and these cupboards are all full of things too, and drawers, and they all have to be cleaned out, but it's starting to come along. Now, let's take a look at Stephen's store. I call it Stephen's store, but I am not charging anybody anything. This is all freebies. And the two ladies that were here this afternoon did a lot of damage to this, which was great, but I found more stuff, and so I have sort of restocked my shelves. So you can see I have a lot of stuff laid out. I do have it organized, like this area, for example, there are dies and rubber stamps sets, and over here are embellishments, and on the far one is paper that can be used for, I should turn on more light, paper you can use for mixed media and for arts things, and more die cuts there. And then here we have boxes of paper. Yes, this is my paper collection. Now they took quite a bit of this, but there's still quite a bit of it left. And of course I forgot all about my punches. So I've got my punches out on display for the next batch that come in, and we'll get rid of a lot of those, I hope. And I have rubber stamps, more rubber stamps I forgot all about, out in the other room, and embossing folders as well. Yeah, if it was a trend, I went all out and I got a lot of those things. So here we go. So we'll see what happens over. I've got people coming tomorrow, and I have one person coming on Thursday. And my goal is to see by the end of the week a major reduction in all of this stuff, and so that we can get started on putting together the IKEA stuff, which is under this table here in boxes, and get my sewing table and cutting station set up in the other room. I had a few pre-orders. They're all ready to go as well. I've got stuff on here that has to go. I've got Project Life. Oh my God, what was I thinking about Project Life? I bought every kit they had at one point in time. Yeah. Now, if you want to know the dollar amount of everything that was in here that's going, I can't put one on it. I can tell you that it is probably, there's more money tied up in all the things that I had in this room than I'm spending on a long arm. So that tells you something. And there's stuff to clean up under there too. But we've got started. It's coming. I'm purging. I'm being ruthless, as I said. And yeah, we'll see what this looks like by the end of the week. I'm hoping with a lot less stuff. Okay, it's the end of day 2 in Stephen's stash store, and this is what I have left. I have a whole lot of punches still left, but don't have much of the Project Life stuff left, and you can see the paper has been reduced to 2 boxes. A lot of the pads are gone, the cardstock is all gone except for the 8.5 by 11. I have a couple of those carrier things still left. I have some art supplies over here. I've got some large 13 by 19 photo paper. And there's some pan pastels. I've got lots of masonite board left, and artist board, and scrapbook paper holders as well. And just nicks and knacks, pencil crayons, things like that, and deli paper. On this table, some paints and a bunch of embellishments, but this is about half of what I had before. Some pit pens, some embossing folders. My stamp sets have gone down considerably. My Stampers Anonymous, and so have my Tim Holtz and Sizzix dies as well. Still a little bit of the heartfelt kits left. Still got my Cricut, and some miscellaneous little small paper packs, some more stencils in 10-inch and 6-inch, some tags, some grunge board. Still got the Zooter, but I got rid of the cinch. And I still got a lot of the We Are Memory Keepers boards left. So that's this room. Good clean out. A lot less here. So in here, what I've got left is not much. I still have a lot of canvases. I've still got a lot of rubber stamps on wood in these boxes. Over here, I've got some miscellaneous specialty papers, some more stamps, some pastels and crayons. couple of tools, a photo sleeve fuse tool and a heat wave tool. Nobody seemed to want that. A few more paper cutters. And I've gotten rid of all of my Distress spray inks, but I still have some of the Tim Holtz Distress paints left as well, and some fabric paints. I still have a fair number of ink pads left. And I've got about half of my stock of the racks that have the applicators on them. And I have some of these. These were all rubber stamps as well. There were more boxes, but they've taken some of the whole boxes, and that's great. Still a few more of those left over as well. So I have one person, maybe two, coming over tomorrow, and maybe I'll get rid of a few more things. And yeah, I'm really happy about the way this has gone. Walter asked me if I'm upset about all this stuff, but not really. I got my love out of it, and now it's time to pass it on to other people who will get some love from it as well. I'm telling you, 3 ladies here this afternoon, and it was like Christmas to them, and that made me happy. So this is day 4, and I got rid of a lot of stuff, but now look at, it's starting to become decluttered. Now, I still have a lot of work to do, a lot of things that are piled up here still that I have to decide whether I'm getting rid of them or I'm going to have to put them somewhere. And but this, which is going to be my future pressing stations coming along, I'm going to concentrate on this load of stuff today because I have someone who's interested in some of my paints and things, who's recently got into doing art. So I'm going to go through those bottles of things, throw out things that are dried up or of no use, and organize the rest of them. Plus I have a bunch in the other room, in my old sewing room, that are hidden behind my vision board that I need to pull out as well. So that's my task for this morning. And then maybe I'll tackle this area over here. Now, what I have left to give away is just right here. Not the storage boxes, but these big plastic boxes, and what's on this cart. And that's pretty much all I had left. I still have a ton of punches. Nobody wants punches. But I'm on track here, and I'm hoping, my plan is that by Sunday, we have at least the sewing area set up, the sewing island. I don't know what to call that, my sewing bench, something like that. Okay, it's Saturday, September the 11th, and I've worked all day since about 6:30 this morning until now, which is now about 4:30 in the afternoon, trying to get things cleaned up and reorganized. Walter's made several trips to the dump and off to Value Village to get rid of some donations and things. I still have that to donate as well, but I'll show you what I've done so far. Now, of course, the center area is still open because we haven't started putting together the Alex units yet. That'll be the next task. So over here, I still have this mess here to clean up and organize, and so this case here is sitting here temporarily. I don't really like it sitting there. Oh, I see I forgot to take down one of my art pieces. Well, I'll have to do that. I decided to relocate some of my 3D prints. I'm not ready to throw them out yet. I've only been doing this for just a year. So I thought, well, that space above is not very tall, so these fit there just very nicely. And now you can see I've started transferring my fabric over to the shelves. Lots more space, but I have more fabric in drawers out in the sewing room, which right now is just an utter mess. So I'll get those out and fold it correctly and put on the shelf. Now, these little baskets may be a temporary place for those until I get all my Alex units together, because that's going to give me more storage. With these, I think I will leave those as they are, just because they fit there quite nicely and they're my fat quarters and they're already organized. Now, of course, you've already seen my pressing station area, and I have some of my patterns, the ones that I want to work on soon. Whether I get to them or not is another question, but I put those on my bulletin board. I cleaned up all kinds of junk that was here. I decided to make this area a little bit more attractive with a couple of prints. One is behind that paper towel roll, is one that I have done myself, and this is one that I don't know where I got that. And there's another little bulletin board. Now, I'll let you in on a secret. I did not repaint in this room. For the most part, the walls aren't in too bad a shape, but it depends on what you're looking at, because I pulled out a lot of pins from the wall that were holding up pictures and artwork and things like that. But by strategically placing some artwork here and there, I've kind of covered up those marks. So yeah, I know it's cheating, but you want to know something? It works for me in here. Now this area under here is organized. It's my stabilizers and my Sizzix machine and freezer paper. And in the very back, you can't really see it, are old family pictures, which one part of me would like to throw them out because I don't know who the people are that are in them. Some of them came from my grandparents. And the reason I have them is because I used to do genealogy. But now that my dad is gone and my mother is, well, not in a great state, they can't even identify the people. Well, Dad obviously can't, right? So I don't know. If they're sitting back there, I just don't have the heart to toss them out yet. And I've been tossing a lot of things out. Now, this is my library. I weeded out some of my magazines and things that are kind of old, and I've offered them to the ladies in my art journal group because some of them are the Stampington and Company ones, which are about art journaling and mixed media and are very, very nice magazines. They're more like a book. So I'm giving them first dibs on them, and if they don't want them, and so far nobody has said they want them, then I think I'll take them down to Value Village. Under here, I made room. There was an old filing cabinet, another set of drawers here. I cleaned that all out. Oh, I did wash down the walls, by the way, and tried to remove some black marks here and there with some success, some without. Used one of those Mr. Clean magic erasers. These two little Ruscott carts are for projects I'm working on right now. So the idea here is they can have the project materials on them. I can just wheel them down to my sewing machine when I get it in here, and away I go. Now, you know, when you plan all this out, things do change as you start to use the space, and that's okay. For example, I was going to take all these 3D prints off these shelves, which are also 3D printed, and put my pin cushions up there. But you know something? Pin cushions look pretty good, I think, right here. There's a little ledge that runs around this room in the way that it was finished. And so this little ledge, I put all the thin pin cushions on. And you see I did that over here too with a couple of jars of buttons because, well, why not? I don't know if that thing's going to sit there with my wet ones or not, but it's there for the moment. Now over in this corner, this was originally what I was planning to make. This is where I had a 3D printer before. I turned the table around, I cleaned it all up. It is a drafting table, but I'm using it as a regular table. And there's enough space underneath it that I can actually get a cabinet, and that holds all my ribbons in there, the big one. And I can still wheel my chair over there and do sewing. But I did put the serger there originally, but then I forgot all about the second sewing machine, the S7. So it needs a home, and it fits very nicely right there. Now, I don't use the S7 that much because it's my travel sewing machine. But it's all hooked up, ready to go. So sometimes you just want to do something really quick, and, you know, there it is, set up to go. I did clean out these cupboards, and I have filled them again. Yes, they do have a few of the craft supplies I held back on, miscellaneous things as well. There are some binders in here too that I wasn't able to like get rid of or consolidate. So they're all there. I took all the artwork off the cupboards. I wanted a more functional, clean look. And I didn't remove these from the top for a couple of reasons. One, I really don't have the heart to destroy those things. I made those. They were fun, and I think they look cool up there. And what else am I going to put up there? So I left those. The serger is here for now, plugged in, ready to go whenever I want to use it. Now, it might be a little awkward to get a chair up to that or a stool, but I don't think that'll be that bad, and I don't use the serger that much. And in worst case scenario is that I can always pick it up and move it over to the main table when I have the main table in here. I got rid of my wide format printer. It's going to go to Value Village. In some ways, I hate to part with it. It cost me a lot of money, but that was many, many, many years ago. It cost me about $600, and I thought it was really cool because then I could print my 12 by 12 digitally produced scrapbook papers on photo glossy paper. And yes, I did do that. But I haven't done that in a long time, and quite honestly, I can't get that printer to work with my existing setup on my computer. So I figured, yeah, just take it to Value Village. Or it may end up, they may not even take it because it's old technology. It may just go into the electronics section of the dump. I've got both printers sitting side by side. Originally this big printer, which I don't use a lot, but I like to have it because if I have to print something that's really lengthy, I can do it double-sided and it does it automatically. It also has a good scanner on the top that has an automatic feed, so if you need to scan like 10 pages of a document, you could put them all into that feeder at the top and away they would go. So now I've moved it over here. I cleaned up this counter a little bit so I can have the two printers sitting side by side. They're a little closer to my computer. I have left this area pretty much the same. I removed a couple of electronic devices like a label maker that I was not using anymore. But I've left it pretty much the way I've always had it set up because there really isn't any other place to do it, and it's very efficient here because I have my drawers down here with my office supply things in them and my chair and all that. Now I will have to go through these drawers though because there's a lot of junk accumulated in there. Same with this cupboard over here. This is a lot of paper products and it needs desperately to be cleaned out. And my Cricut has always sat on top of this and I'm just leaving it there as is. I took down all the artwork from the walls and I just left this painting that came from my parents' house. And this was something that was given to me when I retired, so of course I'm keeping that. And that's our marriage license as well. So yeah, I'm keeping that. So over in this corner, there used to be the TV stand that you saw earlier that I'm giving away to Value Village. I put this chest of drawers that were located in another spot in this room, and right now it has a miscellaneous amount of electronic junk in it. Again, that's something as time goes by I'll weed out. But you can see there is a control center over here. There's the control for the TV, there's a router for internet, there's a drive, there's a tower, and of course all of this is connected to various other pieces throughout the room, and my main TV set. You'll notice I have a camera on top of it. It gives me, I don't know if I'm going to use this or not, but I'm thinking about how I'm going to do zooms in this room, and it gives a really good shot of the whole room. So depending where I put the sewing machine, I was going to put my sewing machine on this end of the room, but then my back would be towards that camera. So I think I'm going to flip it and I'm going to put the sewing machine down at this far end and I'll put the embroidery machine up at this end. And that might make sense because it'll be closer to the other sewing machine too. So I think that's what I'll try instead. And then this will be set up properly for a Zoom meeting on a sew day or something. I have my second, what I call my sewing room computer. Now it is in here and it is hooked into that TV set as well and into another speaker system. So when I want to listen to podcasts, as I often do when I'm sewing, I can still do that. My Alex unit is here that has all my Floriani embroidery threads. And now on this we have the 3D printers, and I have 3 of them now. One isn't working at the moment. I have to, when I find the time, I have to fool around with that. One of these was just given to me. I haven't even tried it out. It's a little bit older model than the other 2 that I have, but no big deal. That was really nice of Richard to give me this printer. And so I'll have to play with it and experiment with it. These cupboards above are all minus their artwork. A few marks on them, but they're standing up pretty good. I gave them a good wiping down. And I have my filament in 2 of these cupboards, and basically these cupboards are dedicated to mostly the 3D printing. That's the supplies that are there. And right on top of them there's some old electronics that I forgot all about, and those have to go because they are like satellite boxes, things like that that we don't use anymore in our system. Nobody uses them anymore really. And an old VHS tape box, and I think there's some old VHSs in there, but we don't have a VHS player, and well, that's so last century, isn't it? So I gotta get rid of those yet, and I need to reorganize these drawers. There's a ton of electronics in these drawers, like cables and things. Gotta go. A lot of them have to go. They're of no use. And this has a few holes in it because this is left over from when I was giving things away, but it holds those project cases. And I'm thinking that I might use this to hold, let's see, I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can get 6 project cases in there of whatever I'm working on. So that's maybe where I'm going to put those once I get this area cleaned out. And I think I can get them to fit on here too. So if I clean all this crap out of this, this will become project cases as well. So, yep. I need to clean out this desk, and I need to clean the top off it a little bit as well. And I have a filing cabinet here that I think is full of nothing but crap, so clean that all out. This cupboard has art supplies now, so that's done. I may take down some of this stuff. It's a little bit cluttery. Get rid of it. And I have a few shelves here that there's holding paper, and that's what I think I will keep on those shelves, but may make a little bit more room for other things. So, I've taken out a lot of garbage bags of crap. A lot of things have gone to Value Village as well, and there's still more work to do. But I am ready now for the tables to come in to get the main focal point of this room, which will be my sewing machine, embroidery machine, and my cutting station. So that's coming up next. Okay, so the sewing room is now completely done. There may be some minor shifting of contents from one drawer to another just to keep things more efficient, and that will depend on what it's like when I'm actually sewing, and that's when I'll do that. But I want to take you on a little tour now of the finished room. So over here I have this big container. Formerly this is where all my Project Life used to be, on a different little metal stand, and I've kept my huge industrial paper cutter because that'll cut a whole ream of paper without any problem, so I'm not getting rid of that. And it was not easy to get my hands on when I did order it at one point, and it cost me quite a lot of money. So yeah, that one's staying. When I need to use it, I'll just take it over to the cutting mat, and that'll give me a big surface to do any kind of major cutting that I may do. Here I have my project boxes all in here, and I just realized there's something I left here that shouldn't be here. I got to put it in a new spot. Actually, there's a couple of things. I want to get that basket up off the floor too. There's always something, you know, when you do this, you miss a few things. I've put 3D prints up on the top shelf because really there's not much room up there, and of course all my fabric is folded and laid out. There's other little baskets of fabric according to color all in the drawers of this central unit. And this is where, of course, you've seen this already. I have my embroidery machine and my sewing machine, and my cutting mats are in between. And right here I've put this together. Maybe not the best design, but I wanted the cord away from, it was hanging out over this edge over here, and I wanted it tucked underneath. And so this is what I did with it. It also gives me a couple of more outlets in case I need to run something else from this end of the room. You can see these are all the Alex units. It's difficult to get them all in the shot here, but there they are. And I have some of them labeled because they were labeled already when I moved them from the other room. And I'm just going to take you down here to the pressing mat area. So you see I have this all set up, and I have my sprays and things like that, and just for decoration I have a few pin cushions and button jars up here. All the lights that I have in this room are all controlled by one central switch. It's a system that is wireless. Well, wireless in the sense of turning them on and turning them off. Of course, they have to be plugged in. My iron is right here, and on this particular wall that used to hold a lot of artsy things before, it now holds patterns that I want to get to priority. I'll switch this out. This is sort of the translation of my vision board that I had in the other room. And I've used my command hooks to create additional storage space. And the rulers I reach for most frequently are hung here on the side of the fabric case and on the wall as well. So as I said, I have all my sprays and things are here, and also my smaller rulers and specialty rulers are here in a box. And I have another drawer a little bit further over underneath the second sewing machine in that unit there that has some other rulers that I don't really use on a regular basis. Of course, I do have storage underneath this table as well, and this is where I'm keeping my embroidery stabilizers and some other miscellaneous things like my Sizzix machines and that kind of thing. So we'll come over and take a look at this. This still has my magazines and things in mixed media. I didn't get rid of all of those. I did get rid of some of the magazines, but I kept the books because, you know, I kept the books. And my basket of patterns and some other scraps. Those boxes of scraps, that's a system I thought might work, and I don't think it really does. For now, I'm just leaving them there. I may get rid of them eventually. Binders that have, you know, embroidery patterns and things like that in it, my magazines and other books for quilting patterns. And these little carts that are down in here are my current projects. So I can just wheel these out and away I go. The one thing I don't have in this room is an area to store UFOs, so they're on this cart as well. I would have preferred them hanging up, but I think it might make it look really junky in here if I do that. I left all my 3D prints on these shelves up here because, well, I didn't know where else to put them, and they're good as a decoration, and I put the rest of my pin cushions things along this ledge that runs all the way around the room. There's a couple of my art pieces. They're just there for decoration more than anything, and a couple of other rulers. These are Fisker rulers for cutting fabric that I've never used, and I spent a lot of money on them. So they're hanging here because if they're out here where I can see them, maybe I'll use them. There's extra cutting mats and little project boards and things tucked in here. And this also holds my ribbon. And this is my secondary, my travel machine, my Skyline S7 right here. And again, on the bulletin board I had up here that previously had pieces of art and cards and things on it, I've just put a couple of my art pieces that I actually kept. And, you know, I found my master's degree and my undergrad degree, so I thought, well, I might as well hang them up, right, for what they're worth. I have another storage unit right here, and as you can see, I do have some empty spaces in this one, especially the white one, so that's for future expansion. And in this little pail I have some rolls of paper. I don't know if that's going to stay there or not, but right now it's kind of out of the way, so that's fine. And here, of course, is the other end of the cutting table with my sewing machine all set up. And I do have my stool here, and I debated whether I should buy a proper chair. But no, there's not enough room in this corner. But what I have on the floor is one of those plastic chair, I don't know what you call them, glides or whatever, you know, that protect the carpet or allow you to spin around. Well, easy here. If I need to switch between the two machines, I can just roll this one right over here, and it works with that machine. So yes, I put some thought into that. There's more drawers under here. These have the most frequent things that I use while I'm sewing. You'll notice that I do have this hanging out a little bit in space under here because I want to be able to get my feet underneath. I have some batting stored here, but I have batting in other drawers as well, and I have a huge roll of batting in the laundry room, which once the long arm arrives, that's where it will be located. In all these cupboards in here, I have miscellaneous items. They're not all sewing items that are in there, but they're things I didn't want to get rid of, so I've kind of tucked them away in those cupboards. And of course, my serger is right here, and I can just pull that out towards the edge of the counter when I want to use it, and there'll be enough room for me to sit there and serge away. So my theory goes. Now again, this is how I think this is all going to work, but I may have to alter a few things as time goes by. Maybe I'll find something more efficient. Lots more drawers down here with supplies in them. And then this is my computer setup, of course, and I have my two printers. Yes, I have two printers, because you know my theory. If one is good, two is better, a class set is great. But I don't use this printer as often as I use the other one, but this printer does really great double-sided printing rapidly. You don't have to flip the paper yourself over it, and you can put multiple stack of things to be scanned in it as well. So that's why I want to hang on to this printer. So down in here you can see I still have my computer set up in this area. I did clean up a little bit in my desk. Let's move the chair out of the way for a second. I have installed some lighting here and here. When I do videos now, I'm doing them from this computer, which is different from what I used to do, and I need a little bit more light. Now I've got them hooked up, they're on switches. So I just push the switch and the lights come on and we're good. Of course, my Cricut is still here where it always was, but this cupboard, I cleaned out major stuff. I took about 4 bags of garbage out of this cupboard, if you can believe it. It's much neater now in here, and this is basically stationary. I did put up, I have more blank spots in here, but you know, you can never have too much storage. This corner is basically my electrical hub. This is where I have like everything that controls cameras, the computers, the internet, everything is kind of in this area here. It's not too much of a mess, but when you're dealing with wires, you know, it's not easy to conceal the wires, so this will suffice. And I put a light here this morning, which I control from my iPhone. I have these little blocks, you see these white blocks? Because I don't always need to have that light on in this corner, but it is kind of a dark corner, and when you want to plug something in or rearrange some wiring, you need a little bit of light. A second computer here as well, which when I do retreats and things like that, like when I'm hosting them, I use a couple of computers, and this is all wired to this television set that's up here, and it does work as a TV as well as it works as a giant monitor. So when I'm on a Zoom call or something, like with Quilter's Way or with one of my retreats, I can see everybody up on that one. And that's why I positioned my sewing machine where I did, so I'd be able to face that. Originally I was going to have my sewing machine where the embroidery machine was, but then my back would be to the television screen, so what's the point of that? Of course, over here, this area is now my dedicated 3D printing mill, and you can see I've got 2 printers working right now. I have all my computers up and running, and if you've been watching The Idiot Quilter, you've heard me talk about the fact that one of my printers was down for a while and I had to buy a new power supply. Well, I don't think it was the power supply. I found something else that was very simple, and that seemed to fix it, and it's been working fine. So I'm really happy that all 3 of these printers are working well. I have on order, and it's supposed to come today, another UPS, uninterrupted power supply source for this printer, because this is an original Ender 3, which I got from my friend Richard. And I did some reconditioning of it and the whole bit, and it's up and it's running fine. But I do need to have the UPS, because I tried to plug 2 of them into a UPS, and no way, not going to work. So, and I've also ordered another set of the lights like you see on these 2 underneath, and they'll come sometime next week. So that'll be all done. More storage down here, various things. I'm debating whether I'm going to label every drawer in my room or not. I probably should. I talked about making a legend of what's in each, like number the drawers, and then I have a legend where I can find things, but I don't know if I'm going to bother. That may be just a little too anal. Oh, and I just realized there's a whole pile of stuff up there that I have to get rid of too. Okay, you keep finding things, you know? And of course my laminator's there and my regular desk, and yeah. So that's my sewing room, and I'm so thrilled to have it. Now maybe I can get some sewing done, because I haven't sewn anything in 2 weeks.